Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I have interesting strangers on every single week. Today we have, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Roger Porter.
And we are in your plant shop here on Alberta Street, Planty McPlanterface.
Yes.
Which might be the best name I've ever heard for a plant shop.
Thank you.
Where does the name come from, first off?
Well, when my kids were younger, I used to call them Hangry McAngerpants or something along that lines, depending on their mood and situation. So when the plant shop opened, I had to keep the joke running.
Did they pitch that name or did you?
I pitched it.
Okay. And that's just what stuck?
Yes.
Okay. Was there any other names that you thought?
There wasn't any close contenders at all. I wanted something fun.
Yeah.
That would be memorable.
Yeah.
And this one popped out right away, and it was a keeper.
So you have even a plant tattoo. Do you have any other ones other than the one on your hand? Oh, you got another one up there too.
Yeah.
Are those recent or have you had?
These are pretty recent, actually. This one's about a month old, and this one's about 6 days old.
Oh, wow. 6 days.
Yes.
Wow. So that's really recent. So have you always been into plants? Has this always been a thing, or is this as you became an adult?
Yeah. So growing up, my parents were really into plants also, cacti and succulents. Mm-hmm. And we had a pretty large collection in Southern California when we lived there.
Yeah.
And we were in the cactus and succulent club locally and went to all the slideshows at night and saw all the retirees on their little trips to here and there.
Sure.
Showing off their plants. So that's where it all started.
Wow. Yeah, so I thought you were saying a club as in we just had a lot of plants, so it was we were in a club or something. But there was actually a club for
There was actually the Gates Cactus and Succulent Society, which is still in existence in the Redlands area.
Wow. So your parents had were very plant focused as well.
As far as cactus and succulents were concerned, yes, we didn't really have any tropicals at all.
Okay. And was that when you were a kid, was that a thing? Because sometimes when you're growing up and your parents are really into something, you're sort of I don't want to be into that because my parents are, Was that another thing for you or?
No, I was really into it also.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really fun. We'd go out to the desert a lot, to Palm Springs and Joshua Tree Park, and poke around and explore and find new plants. And we wouldn't take them, of course, because that would be illegal.
Yeah. So when did you move to Portland? When did you come here?
1999. I had a couple stints in college here and there across the West and settled here.
Okay. Why did you pick Portland?
It was on the migration route. I had intended to go try living in Seattle for a while also, but it just stuck here.
Okay.
Never got around to Seattle.
The thing that when I came out here, what was interesting to me, because I'm from the Midwest, is that I feel even outside, everything grows. There's palm trees here, there's cherry trees, there's cactuses, there's everything. There's everything,
yeah. It's a little humid for cacti and succulents. They don't do as well as they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll grow.
Yeah, but it was just amazing to me because to come out here and to see all this, was that I guess you come from California where there was a good amount of plants there too, right?
I didn't really know anything about tropicals actually in California. We might have had a spider plant actually.
Okay.
But that was about the extent of it. I didn't have any plant knowledge beyond cacti and succulents back then. Yeah. Other than what I saw on slideshows.
Sure.
At the club meetings.
Because what were you doing before you opened the shop?
I worked at a bank.
Okay. So what made you want to get into starting a plant shop? Because there's tons of them here in Portland.
There are a ton of plant shops. Yeah. I didn't like bank work at all. It wasn't the life for me. I did it for 12 years and was miserable most of the time.
Well, that's a good reason. That's a good reason to start.
When I moved to a home office, my partner and girlfriend also moved to a home office, and she knew I didn't like my job.
Yeah.
But when she saw the actual work I was doing, she said, "Oh, we got to get you out of there.
We got to do something. But there's a lot of things you could have done. So why did you go down this route of starting a plant shop?
Good question. We got really into plants during the lockdown.
Sure.
We put an outdoor garden in first, maxed out the yard, and then turned indoors. Started joining the Facebook plant groups here and there.
Yeah.
And it just kind of went from there. We started buying some exotic ones and thought, well, we really love this. She and I are both all in hobbyists. Okay, we don't do anything tiptoed into the waters. We
you just
go full-fledged into something. So when we got into plants, it was all in, and it really harkened back to my childhood because I had taken a 30-year hiatus on plant growing, raising kids, 25-year hiatus raising kids. Where I didn't actually have any houseplants at all in the house for decades.
Yeah.
So when the flame was reignited, it reignited largely.
So did you learn most of like you say, you went all in, and like, is that, so that's most like in the past couple of years, like you took like plant courses, basically just reading books and like educating yourself on plants?
Yeah, reading books, YouTube, internet, all that good stuff on learning how to do them, and then just buying plants and experimenting with them.
Yeah.
I've killed a couple plants in my time.
But all of them in here look so nice and so well kept up.
I think I'm finally getting good at my job.
It's about that.
It's about that. Yeah, I'm up the hill and about to head over the hump. I still struggle on some things. Ferns and I don't get along. I'm just starting to get some ferns in stock, different types of ferns that are easier to take care of that I get along with.
Yeah. Because, I was going to ask, are there certain plants that made you really want to like be doing this? Like, that you love like a lot more than other ones?
Yeah, I'm really attracted to philodendrons. It's a huge family and a huge assortment of leaf types and colors. There's a bunch over here on the counter.
Yeah.
They range. I really like the odd leaf shaped plants. Anything that has exaggerated lobes.
Yeah.
Or, odd stems or different colorations. I'm all a huge fan of.
You talked about ferns a little bit and how you don't get along with ferns, but is there a specific type of plant, generally speaking, that is just more difficult for just people to take care of?
I'd say these Maranta right here.
We burned these accidentally, yeah.
Yeah, they're really tough. I still struggle with them.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't have any at the house right now.
Yeah.
But they like humidity. I recommend them for the bathroom or the kitchen areas.
Sure.
I don't recommend them if you have a really low humidity house at all, because the leaves will turn brown and fall off.
Yeah. Because, even what's interesting to me is like I feel like getting all these plants, like you started a plant shop. How did you even get all these plants? Like, how'd you go into the process of like finding a distributor or person that can grow them and give them to you?
So I found on one of the Facebook groups a lady who I bought an exotic cutting from. And she had actually mentioned the wholesale plant market. And then fast forward a month or two later, when I was trying to figure out, okay, where am I going to get plants if I open a plant shop?
Yeah.
I thought, I'll message her and see where this mystical plant market is.
Yeah.
So she offered to meet me down at the plant market and show me around. And I got a membership there. I got my business license put together and all that good stuff.
Sure.
And she gave me the grand tour the first time I went down there. About 75% of the plants there are locally grown.
Oh, wow. Between
here and Salem.
Wow.
And then there's some from Canada and California and all points between.
Yeah.
But it was important for me to find local growers. So about half the plants in the shop are all locally grown.
That's incredible. Because, that's probably not the case for, other places in the United States, right? Where it gets so cold and things like that.
Correct. Yeah. But it was a good... it was an important thing for me to have local grown plants as much as I could. And to keep the variety, I had to branch out a little bit. I get some plants from California.
Which is still pretty close.
Some from Seattle.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty close. A couple from right across in Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah.
And then I've got a couple growers in Indonesia that I buy from.
Oh, wow. For what plants?
Those are for some of the more exotic philodendrons.
Okay. Wow.
And those are a little harder to take care of. I keep those at the house for a few months just to make sure they stabilize fully before I sell those. Yeah,
because I actually did. I remember I did talk to a plant shop once, and they were talking about the sort of what you're talking about as well, or alluding to the concept of like plant miles, where there's some plant shops who ship plants like all the way across the United States, and it becomes like very uneco-friendly, and it's ironic because they're plants.
Yeah, but we're taking a huge carbon footprint.
Exactly.
To ship them.
Was that something that you cognitively were sure that you wanted to do differently?
Definitely, yeah. I wanted to make the focus at least half the shop local.
Yeah.
And that's the same with the artwork and the macrame and other accessories in the shop. About half of them to about 70% are all local artists also.
Yeah. Because you are an artist as well.
I am, yes.
Yeah. And I've seen your work. It's really incredible. I love it. And through some Facebook stalking, I guess. And so did you ever consider like maybe not even doing a plant shop, or just like opening a general shop with like art and things like that?
Yeah. Well, as an artist, I was always interested in having a show on Alberta Street.
Yeah.
Because that's where all the cool artists hang out.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me to open a shop on Alberta Street until I did the plant shop. And then once I had the plant shop, I thought, well, I've got a little bit of wall space.
Sure.
And I try not to put too much of my artwork on the walls. The first few months I did just because I had nothing else. But this past month I had a little art show with a graphic designer collective here in town.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. And now I've got some local punch needle and other fiber arts here in the store for this coming month.
Because was art something that you have done throughout your life?
Since birth, basically, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of art do you do?
I do a lot of drawing and then a lot of painting, although I was going through a lot of paper and I used to doodle at my desk at work all the time.
Sure.
Now that I have a retail counter, having a stack of paper and pens all over the counter just wasn't conducive to the shop, basically. So I switched to an iPad with an Apple Pen.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been doodling digitally lately, which I was really reluctant to do at first, but it saves so much space.
Oh, yeah.
And the paper waste is non-existent, basically.
What do you draw? What do you like to create?
I like a lot of repeating patterns and tiny details. I do a lot of waves and buildings. When I worked downtown, I would draw skyscrapers all the time.
Yeah.
With little tiny windows, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of windows.
Yeah, because as like when you're working in like the banking industry and you were like drawing and things like that, and what like place does that take you to? Is that like are you in a very zen place when you're sort of
definitely
drawing?
Yeah, it's part escapism and part meditation.
Yeah,
definitely a mix of the two.
So I wanted to ask like how this all started, because from what I saw, it was sort of like a pop-up and then
yes. So when we did kind of a soft trial period where we did the Portland Flea.
Yeah.
So we did a pop-up shop at the Portland Flea, and I had planned a couple more Portland Flea pop-ups, but they didn't work out space-wise. So we did some pop-ups in my yard.
Oh, okay.
Which were actually went over pretty well also. And we went to a couple pop-ups to see how they did them.
Yeah.
And when we saw the pop-ups, we thought we could do this. So we got some of the wholesale plants from the wholesale shop and just went for it. Thought up the shop name, got some tables together and some crates and made it look kind of vintagey and old-timey, a little like a barn sale.
Were you sure that you were going to do like a physical plant shop when you started that?
I was not sure at all. No, we were just kind of winging it at that point.
Sure.
I knew I had to get out of the bank. Plants were fun. Pop-ups were fun.
Yeah.
We looked for spaces all over town and I found this space, inquired about it.
Yeah. Got
accepted for it. Turned it down because I got cold feet overnight.
Yeah.
And then a couple of days later called again and said, "Hey, is it still available?"
I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, ignore that. I was just panicking.
Yeah, because that must have been a tough thing. I'm sure like rent on Alberta Street is not cheap, I'm assuming.
It's not cheap in general. This space, because it's in a little mall, is a little cheaper than a standalone storefront.
Yeah.
But I was still stressed about paying the bills for sure because I've got a mortgage also. So
doubling up on that. Yeah,
doubling up on the mortgage. Yeah.
Luckily,
utilities are included here. So
wow, that's nice.
So I'm not stressing about those all the time. But yeah, definitely having two building payments a month was a huge stressor.
Yeah.
But my partner was willing to pick up the slack if the shop failed. So.
Yeah.
And I've been able to pay the bills, luckily.
Yeah. I think being an all-in hobbyist, as you said, is sort of what helps because you just go for it. 100%.
We just went for it. Yeah. When I got this space, it seemed so big. And if you look at Instagram pictures from the very beginning, it's very sparse in here. And I had no idea how I was going to fill the space. I couldn't even fathom it.
Yeah.
And now I wish I had the space next door or somewhere here, another second space in the building.
Yeah.
Because I've got so much more stuff I want to bring in. And there's so much more I want to show the world.
Yeah. No, because is it hard in this? I mean, you got pretty good windows here, but did you have to look for a specific space because of all the plants and like they need sunlight and stuff?
Yeah, I looked at a lot of spaces that didn't work out because the sun was bad, no windows. If there's no windows in a shop, I'd be entirely relying on grow lights, which would run the bills up if the utilities weren't included.
Yeah.
So that was a huge concern. And actually, I had lived on Alberta Street for about a year or so, up on 28th. So in this space on Alberta, and also being an artist and having wanted to be on Alberta Street in a gallery show someday, I thought, whoa, wait a minute, this is aligning really well.
Yeah. Do you still want to get into that space? Is like, having a gallery show or something?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, I had actually had planned a ceramic mug show because I collect ceramics also.
Oh.
It's one of my other all-in hobbies. And I contacted a bunch of potters and then dropped the ball completely. So
Wow.
that'll be on the board for 2022, I think, in early 2022.
How did that all-in hobby start? How did you start collecting ceramics?
My partner and I have always loved ceramics and mugs. We have a huge mug collection that won't even fit in the drawer or the cupboard anymore.
Sure.
We've got cabinets full of pottery.
Wow.
And it just makes sense because pottery and plants are kind of go hand in hand.
True.
So I have four local potters here in the shop with a couple more potentials on the way in. Yeah, if you need local pottery.
Yeah, because what do you think intrigued you initially about like ceramics and pottery? Like, what do you think you liked about it the most?
I did some ceramics in college. I did not make it an all-in hobby, although we do have a kiln and a wheel at my house we have never used.
I was gonna say it's pretty all in. Yeah.
Yes, that was an all-in COVID hobby that lasted all of a day or two after we bought the merchandise.
Yeah. Because it's hard. I mean, I've talked to people that make pottery. It's tough.
It is tough. Yeah, and my partner and I would both love to take a class to kind of get our feet back in the water because it's been 25 years, 30 years for me since I've thrown pottery.
Yeah.
And it's been 10 years for her.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you have like quite an eclectic background of like different things you were interested in and very much involved in. So with this like plant shop that you started in here on Alberta Street, what made this different for you than like saying the pottery or like anything like that, where you wanted to like, I mean, going all in a sense, but like very, very much where you have a store, like you have a payment, like what was it about the plant shop that like spoke to you, you think differently than those other things that you were interested in?
I think it's a lot more, for me, it was a lot more universally loved, where everyone loves plants. Well, mostly everyone. With drawing and painting and ceramics, there's always a limited audience for it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And plants, especially during the pandemic, were pretty universally loved.
Yeah. I think people more got into them then than ever, you know?
Definitely. And I don't want to say that I was one to jump on the bandwagon, the cash cow bandwagon during pandemic.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that wasn't my intention. My intention was to do something that was more life-giving.
Sure.
And fulfilling than working at a bank.
Yeah. No, I mean, getting tattoos of plants, I feel like nobody's gonna think that. That's pretty plantist elite, you know? You gotta really love plants to do that.
Yeah, my tattoo guy even posted on his Instagram stories saying, does your plant person have plant tattoos on their hand?
If they don't, leave the shop.
If they don't, they're just not committed enough.
Yeah, they really need to. I mean, I feel like plants, for me, I got into plants because my partner was super into them. And so probably like 4 years ago, when we started dating, she had like a ton of plants and more plants. And then you start growing them and they start like putting out new leaves and like it gets really exciting. It's like it's very cool to be able to grow something and to nurture something and to see it in front of your eyes prosper.
Definitely.
You know, that's for me, I think, why I got into plants, and now, you know, I love them so much, I think. Do you have ideas of moving into bigger spaces eventually? Like what are your goals, do you think, with
I have looked at second locations already.
Oh, wow.
But I haven't been able to commit to one.
Sure.
Either financially or just emotionally or stress-wise yet.
Yeah. They're all three.
All three, yes. Yeah. But it's definitely on the table. I'm also semi-interested in opening up a wholesale plant shop to sell to plant shops.
How is that different?
So basically, I go to growers and plant brokers to buy my plants.
There's plant brokers.
There are plant brokers.
Wow.
So some of the plants, some of the places I go to are specific growers, and they grow their own.
Sure.
Some of them source them. The ones I get from Canada and California are sourced from there, and then I just meet at a broker's shop, and then they resell them to me.
Wow.
But it ultimately, somewhere down the line before retirement or as part of retirement, I would like to be on that flip side of plant shop owning.
I mean, I'm sure they're difficult in different ways, but is it harder to be a wholesale plant shop or?
Yes.
Yeah, because don't your plants have to be super, super good so people buy them, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
Yeah, you're I guess on the plus side, people come to you specifically to buy lots of plants rather than just one or two at a time. But then they're a lot more scrutinizing.
Yeah, because do people walk around with like a clipboard and be like, nope, that's not good enough? That's not good enough.
Actually, I do, yes.
This leaf is off.
This leaf is off, yeah.
Yeah.
This does not make the cut.
Because, I feel like that would be very tough because, I mean, you as well having like a retail store and having plants, it's like obviously you want the best plants to give to your customers, so.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, even like, has the heat wave affected like wholesale growers here and stuff?
Yeah, the heat wave killed a lot of plants in the area for sure.
Yeah.
Both at the farms and here at the shop.
Yeah.
I lost a few in the shop. The shop I didn't think the shop got that hot. I came in just to water and keep an eye on things and open for a few hours.
Yeah.
During the heat wave weekend, but I did lose a few plants here and at the house.
Yeah, because that's impressive because our air doesn't work very good in our apartment, and our apartment got to like 95 or something.
Oh, wow, yeah.
We had to go to a hotel.
Oh, gosh.
Because the air conditioning was so bad. But yeah, I just watched something on the news about Christmas tree farmers here and all the detriment it did to their trees and stuff. So, yeah, I can imagine it didn't do very...
Do you want to know a deep, dark secret of mine?
Sure.
This past Christmas, I bought a fake tree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is something we might have to bleep out. I feel like I should just bleep that out. Just to have people wonder what he said, this Christmas, and then just a huge, bleep. But
yeah, we have so many plants at the house, and they're all live plants in pots. Mm-hmm. So the thought of cutting a tree down again, and I've always been... it's been kind of a fun tradition with the kids, but this past Christmas we thought, I don't want to kill a tree for Christmas. That just seems wrong.
Yeah. So you got, so now you're going to have one forever then. You're going to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're going to use it. You could keep it up all year round.
We could. We don't have space for that because we have too many hobbies, but.
Yeah. You can go right by the kiln,
Exactly. Yes. It'll go in the kiln.
The kiln.